And welcome to the D.R.W and S, the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern Railway. We're modeling it in N scale, and we hope to bring you along. We've made some developments, so let's get going. Got you already set up for the shot. Here's how you can see the progress I made. I've actually laid out the track again. Nothing's been glued down, and what I'm working on is trying to get them soldered together. So what I did here was I actually cut some flexi track to make the spurs. So I only have the curved part out, and then I made another one here because I started out with some square ones. And so this is a shorter piece of flexi, and this is another piece of flexi. So there's going to be one joint in each of those spurs. Over here, I only need one straight and a curve to end that. I was thinking about this today, that I'll actually have to, when I hook it up here, which I don't have. Yeah, when I hook it up here, I'm actually going to put some spacers in there, so I have separate power to this. That way the train can be running around, because the train will run like this and around and up. That way, if I isolate this piece with another transformer, I can do my switching and moving of engines in here, and still have trains still running. So that's some of the plan of the part. I'm not going to do a big modular thing. I'm just going to set it up for power so that I can keep it running well, so the lengths of the tracks will keep working. Especially under here, I'll definitely put power underneath here. So as you can see, I got it all painted. I actually highlighted it with a little diluted black to make some better dirt. So the next thing was, and this is how I did it, was I actually took a piece of plywood and set this out. And so now I'm taking the tracks that aren't hooked up, like this one here, putting them on the board so I can solder them up. This one here, I've got another piece of flexi track, and this one here is just going to come straight off of here. Got that one partially. It'll come straight off of here, like that, because it'll come off of here and go right in here, and this will be clay bank. So I thought, I'm just going to run it straight in there. So what I've got to do is solder all these so they're smooth. Same thing with this curve, and I'm debating if I'm going to probably solder the flexi track on there, and then get this guy all soldered up. This is a whole, get this joint soldered, this joint soldered, this joint soldered, this joint, and then go back and mark it all. You can see, because I was painting, you can see where I brushed the black. It kind of helped out when I laid it back down. This here, a tile would replace those. That's where I used the flex track. Same thing here. So that's kind of been the way I've been setting this up. So you can see I got my work ahead of me. This piece here will go in here and right up to here. So when I actually start putting it all together, the only piece that I'll have to solder is right here, and actually this one will be spacers. That'll be spacers, and then so like I was saying on this one, this one will come straight across. Straight across, so that'll be clay banks. So you can see that'll be clay banks. So the other thing is my experiment with the fast mache, which is in that box. You'll probably see the next time I come back. I'm going to fill some more of these in, and I'm going to actually take this piece off and actually can you see that? No, you can't see it that far. Actually put the fast mache in here and do that. So yeah, so it's coming right along. I was trying to figure out how to move those things around effectively, and this is going to work out well. I've got to set up a better soldering station because I've got it over there, but I don't have room to set these tracks in. So I might start putting my soldering iron right on this, so I've got it right here and available. So as you can see in our plans, I'm working right in here. This one right here, I won't have that curve and I'll just have it go straight. And this is going to be clay banks. This one here, for some reason I've come down a little lower. Ignore that. It's actually this right here is actually right here. I made that a little bigger. And I might change this. I can always do the sculpting mold to fill that in better to make this more look like a creek instead of a big cavern. Same thing here. The creek on here was right down here, so I'm a little farther that way, only because that gives me more real estate for the clay pits, because this will be the second story up here, and that'll be the side of the clay banks, and where this is at, I've got it up further so I can have the Red Wing factory up here. So yeah, it'll look a little different than the plans, but this is the D.R.W in Southern. It's not, originally these plans, as you can see on here, originally these plans said Rochester Regional Railroad. It's not that. It's going to be the D.R.W and S Regional Railroad, which is the clay train, right at the turn of the century. So those are some of the things I'm doing. I'll give you a couple shots of working with that paper mache because I want to fill this in. Maybe I'll even put a piece of foam in there to build it up, and maybe even mount it up a little bit more. So let me get some of that stuff together and we'll get going on that. So hang on a minute here. Okay, here we go. I thought I'd bring you along for the sculpting. I got a piece of extra foam. As you can see, it's all marked up. Got my iron heat up. It's actually smoking now, so I can see that it's working. So what I want to do is make a piece to go in here, just to make this kind of narrower. So I think I'll cut it here. And we can fill in that with the sculptor mold. And then, so it doesn't look like we're building it, maybe make it kind of slanted. Give it some natural shapes. Kind of like that. The foam can do the rest. So that way this will be a lot narrower. Let me cut this corner down somewhat too. So we'll glue that in, maybe even here. give it kind of more some line. Obviously I can shape things more. I can shape things more with the sculpture mold. That piece getting in the way. There. So that way the creek will kind of be more winding through there. It won't be as big. Which will be nicer, and I'll get more sculpture mold on this end. So we got to glue that in and get rid of our scraps here. So that's how we do it with the foam. It gets pretty easy after. If you want to cut something out and stick it in, it gets pretty easy to do that. So when you come back next week, we'll have that all filled in and painted. As the yard is kind of taking shape, I'll have more sculpture mold in here too. These things here, I actually have to build a little truss. So it'll actually be truss coming down. There'll be a truss here for this little guy and for this guy here, but I don't want the creek as big, but I'll narrow it down so it looks like it's coming through here and around. So it's kind of basically crossing that yard. So there we have it. That'll kind of basically be the final of it. We just got to put some more finishing touches. I was trying to figure out a better mud color, so when I paint this in here, I'll kind of touch these up. I got to do something with these edges. And like I said, I'll sculpt the mold in here, leave that pretty deep right there, and then do like a slope. These will slope down too, so it'll narrow up when I fill it in with that. So, and I could even maybe put a little bump on it like that. Here, let's try that. So this is where it gets kind of fun. You can just get creative. We'll make a bump like that. That iron is hot. Maybe something like that. Maybe not as high. Makes a lot of little footsies. Make a little bump there, give it a little bit of more hills and texture, and the sculpture mold, I can mold this whole piece. You know, I'll fill in that. So we'll glue that down, glue that there, and then just mold it all together with the landscape, so it'll look a lot better. So there we go. We created a little berm, which was kind of fun. Shut down so I don't burn myself. So there, we'll be working on that. We'll be working on getting this track set. Hopefully next week, I'll have these marks so we can be gluing down the cork, do our final our base color. And let me turn this so I can end it. So there you have it. Hopefully next week we'll get a little farther along with that part there. I got to get these tracks soldered. I'll be working on those with my piece of wood like I showed you to get those soldered, and then I'm actually gonna mark it and we'll get the cork set. The only little deviation in my plan is this one, is I'm making it like it's straight across. I'm gonna have to fill that in, this part right here, in with a little sculpting one, because it looks like a big river right now, and I don't want that. I want it more of a creek coming through there. So yeah, so that'll be the show of actually kind of sculpting and landscaping of this lower level. So then the other thing I need to do is I started looking them up online of truss templates to build the trusses, because everything's going to be truss like turn of the century, not like what they do now with concrete. You know, they don't do bridges like the way they do bridges now. This is going to be steam, turn of the century, you know, on the truss thing, little buckets of water in case a spark from the firebox goes on the trestle, they can put it out, which is problems they always had with those. So it'll be period correct. So that'll do it. Join us again next Saturday at 12 noon, and keep watching the progress of the D.R.W. and Southern, the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern Railroad. Hey, if any of you out there that are watching have pictures of Red Wing, Minnesota, or of the Red Wing train stuff, please put in the comment and send them by. The more historically correct pictures I can get helps when you're modeling this, because I'm not going to what it looks like now, I'm going to what it used to look like. So if you got any historic pictures, I got some, but I know there's more out there. Feel free to make a note and maybe you could send them my way. So with that, we will see you next week, and have a great week. We will talk to you later.